Finally, Yareli Prime just dropped today, and she is probably one of the most underrated Warframes, if not the most underrated Warframe in the entire game. So today, of course, we will be going over two builds, one for survivability and the other for more laid back and ad clearing type of gameplay. So I hope you guys enjoy. So here we are in the simulacrum, and firstly we need to go over all of Yareli's abilities so that we know how to use them. Firstly, let's start off with her passive, which Yareli gains 200% crit chance for secondary weapons whenever she's been moving for at least 1.5 seconds. So this does not increase your base crit chance, but it adds 200% onto your base crit chance that's on your weapon. So example, if you have 5 crit chance, then your crit chance will now be 15. So it'll be 5, and then if you were to have 100%, it'll be 10, and then 200 is 15. So for our next ability, we have Sea Snares, and this basically lifts the enemies up, and then they gain damage vulnerability for whatever your strength is. And I would think of this more as like an ad clearing ability, but it also debuffs the enemy, so you can think of it as both. But it is a very good ability, and leads me to our second ability, Marilena. She's like a K drive, but listen, you didn't even let me explain yet. So for the few Warframe players that do like the K drive mechanics, this will give you a 90% damage reduction while you are riding Marilena. But now for the people that don't like using the K drive, you can use an augment called Loyal Marilena, and this basically doesn't you don't have to ride Marilena anymore. But she follows you around and casts sea snares, which is our first ability that we talked about. But the cooldown for those sea snares that she throws out is 2 seconds. So next up for her third ability, we have Aqua Blades, and what Aqua Blades does is it's basically a ring of blades, and it will cast slash damage on the enemy, and as long as that enemy is standing in the ring, the slash stacks will keep building up and keep building up until the enemy eventually dies. So this is the ability that we will be using in our second build, and what we will be using to crowd control and also do a lot of damage. Now finally onto our fourth ability, which is my favorite. This is literally just free crowd control. This is Riptide, and what it does, it basically just groups enemies up so you can kill them plain and easy. But not only that, they also take tick damage while they're in there, and the more enemies that are grouped by the ability, the more that the ticks do. So this is our first build, and this is mainly for survivability. And first starting off, we have growing power in our aura slot, and this is because I just wanted more power strength. And what growing power does is it basically whenever you get a status chance proc or a status proc in general, you gain I think 25% extra ability strength. And then we have prime sure-footed. This is because of not getting knocked down to the ground. Marilena does, whenever you cast her, she does make sure that you don't get knocked down, but if she goes down, then you will get knocked down. So I just have that in case Marilena dies. Transient Fortitude, just again for sea snares, and this is because I just want more damage. And then we have Vigilante Vigor, and this ties into Fast Deflection down there, which both recharge our shield faster and our shield delay whenever our shield gets knocked off. Our shield delay is a lot quicker. So these two mods basically tie into Arcane Aegis, which is our arcane slot. And so what Arcane Aegis does is whenever you get damaged, your shield will recharge way faster. So this basically makes us a shield gate tank all in one. So you can tank your shield and you can also shield gate at the same time. But that's why we have redirection, so that our recharge will be super fast because we have a lot of shield. And then we have Arcane Energize for our second Arcane, and this is just to maintain energy. And honestly, you don't even really need to have this. Is kind of a flex as well. Adaptation there also ties in with us tanking because our shield would be able to take more hits. And then we have Archon Stretch, and the reason we're using Archon Stretch is because on my Kavat, which I was not using in the gameplay in the background, but on my Kavat, I actually do have electric, which if you have electric claws, then you will get that electric proc. And what that electric proc does for Archon Stretch is you regenerate 2 energy over time. So it's really just for more energy pool and management. So for my Archon shards, I have 4 Tower Forge red shards, all going to strength, and this gives me 60% strength, and then 1 shard for basically equilibrium, this purple, but you can really choose how you please, so leave this part up to you. So now I want you guys to pay attention to the gameplay in the background just a little bit, because this is this build, and this is the Aqua Blades build. So you're going to use an augment called Surging Blades, and basically what this augment does is whenever Aqua Blades is active, each time you hit an enemy with a blade in that ring of Aqua Blades, it gains 10% damage, and that's based off of your ability strength, of course. So for example, my ability strength I think is 1,600, so it would gain 160 every time I hit an enemy, and this can stack all the way up to 100k just for however long your duration is. And then you can throw that blade, and whenever you throw that blade will do a shit ton of damage basically. And it kind of has an AoE effect at the same time, so that's what makes this build so good. You can literally just slash enemies for maybe 200k, and I don't even have a super long duration. I maybe have 70 seconds, and I'm on 128 duration. So that's something to take into consideration. But it's a very good build, very very good. If you didn't realize, I'm also using Roar, and what Roar is going to do is it's going to increase those ticks of those slash procs. And also you have your vulnerability bubbles, which will increase the damage even farther. And that's the whole premise of this build, is basically get as much damage as you can on Aqua Blades, and also abuse Surging Blades to give you even more damage. And this is what creates the crowd control, and you don't really have to do anything, just turn your brain off. So before you guys go, I wanted to mention that this ability works really well against Acolytes, absolutely destroys them, at least for an ability, because Acolytes take less damage to abilities. So it absolutely just destroys this Acolyte here. And with all that being said, please leave a like, subscribe, it really helps me, keeps me motivated. And if you guys enjoyed this video, I will see you in the next video. Peace.